My daughter and I went thrifting up in Portland for her birthday last week, and I left the store with a serious case of sticker shock. This is a vintage linen tablecloth for $40. And we are in a thrift store, not an antique store, not a vintage resale store. This one is 20, which is still sky high. Even if you were going to buy it and put it on your own table, I don't know what they are thinking. I don't think I've even seen them priced this high at an antique store. It just boggles the mind. This is the only time I've ever found cross stitch in this store. This is a Lavender and Lace kit. I didn't know that Lavender and Lace did kits, and if you wanted to stitch that particular angel, to have all of the floss, all of the fabric, and the pattern for $8, that is not a bad deal, and they must have had a dozen of those. I apologize for the camera angle. This box was up over my head, and this shop is not one where you can lift things down and go through them carefully on the floor. I wish I was more into Lavender and Lace angels. I feel like I missed an opportunity with these. And there were a couple other vintage kits that weren't too bad, but I was boggled by the angels and the fact that they were there at all. This is wool yarn, and again, I have sticker shock. I don't know what Samband Lava is. I came home and looked it up. It's wool, 11 skeins for $54.99, and once again, we are at a thrift store. Here's another brand, 7 skeins for $34.99. Both of these brands have been discontinued. They are wrapped in plastic, so there is no way to get a good look at the yarn and its quality, to sniff it to see if it's musty, to check that the skeins are all the same dye lot. I would love to know if anyone is actually going to pay that, because I don't get it. That little box there, I was looking for one of those little boxes, and that is exactly what I wanted, except someone had taken one of the fake stained glass kits and painted the top of it, which changed it instantly from exactly what I wanted to no, that is not what I need. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those on a thrift store. I saw one in somebody's thrifting video a couple days before our trip and put it on my mental list of things that I wanted. And I found it almost as soon as we got into the store. Exactly what I wanted, but not quite what I wanted all at the same time. This basket with the bears on it is resin, and it is fabulous. I bought one of them at Weimar for my parents for Christmas 2 or 3 years ago. The one in the thrift store is $12.99. I think I paid $14.99 for the brand new one. Although I don't expect the people in the thrift store to know what I paid at Weimar. I've been wanting a recipe box. I saw one on the same video where I found the white glass box, and I apologize for my failure of camera angles here. That is exactly the same box I saw in the video. It was $1.95. It did come home with me, and I'm going to start writing down our recipes. They had a whole bunch of cast iron recipe book holders, and I would love one, except I don't know where I would put it. And the pointing is me trying to get my daughter's attention. We always look at the bags of china at this store because they always have neat things. And one of these days I'm going to buy a set. Tell me, does that look like uranium glass to you? I'm like 95% sure that it was, and have nothing to base it on except for the shade of green. We've got to buy a little black light, and those were only $9.99 for the set. My daughter changed her mind after I told her I was pretty sure you didn't want to be eating off of it on a regular basis. I don't know if that's an overreaction on my part or not, because I still use my Pyrex and they say it's got lead. Now we're at the Goodwill bins, and this little doll quilt had all the cute vintage fabrics, and I don't think a fabric in this thing was cotton. Their blue was corduroy. That was probably wool. I'm trying to remember what was what. Maybe that cute vintage print was cotton if it wasn't a cotton poly blend. There's some more red corduroy. Somewhat, and that yellow, that is a knit. You get a better look at it there. It had some pretty prints, and it was something. I liked it. I suspect that what it was tied with once upon a time, that was wool yarn before it felted down into little nubbins and nothing. And it had a fantastic vintage backing. And now I'm going to talk myself into thinking that I should have bought the thing. These old red Sizzix cutters can be used to cut some of the new dies. This one is missing the white plastic plate, and these are so heavy that there is no way I would buy one by the pound. I haven't calculated what that would be, but probably not a good investment, and I already have one. I don't know what this metal thing was. It intrigued me enough that I picked it up. Once upon a time, this was an electric iron. You can see where the cord went. It is so rusted and so corroded, and not in a good cast iron way. And again, that is not something I would ever buy by the pound at the Goodwill bins because those are heavy. You can find them other places. I love this little wooden miniature scene. It has all the cute little details, and tell me what your first reaction is, because my daughter and I both had the same reaction. That upper right-hand corner looks like it has been burnt, but the back does not. So we think it might have been a deliberate choice to blacken the wall by the stove. I don't know. There is just so much going on here, and things are tipped at an odd angle because of the structure of the box. I loved it. It came home with me. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but it's dollhousey and it's miniature and it is adorable, and it absolutely went into my cart. It also weighed next to nothing. There's a coconut purse if you're looking for one of those, and a Build-A-Shark kit. There was so little to get excited about in the bins on this trip. Here's another electric iron in much better condition. It had its cord. I love old irons. I probably have enough of them until I find something that is unlike anything else in my collection. And like I just said, to be an iron I would pay by the pound for, it would have to be the best iron in the history of ever. We thrifted all day long, and honestly, what is in this video is the only stuff I saw that was worth taking pictures of. It was an odd day for the Goodwill bins in Portland. There was nothing there. We had to wait maybe 5 minutes in line to get into the first store. The second store, there was no line. There were very few people. The bins were almost empty. The highlight of the day was probably that uranium glass. It was an interesting trip. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle, and I'll be back with more thrifting soon.